Good afternoon. Bloody oath. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be Harry Muppet, and we're going to be casting a 1v1 pro level game. Now, this was taken from, I think, one of the Zotac weekly tournaments. I just downloaded a crap load of random tournaments. The weekly ones, I'm not going to cast the full tournament because it takes me about a week to cast a full tournament, and they go every week, so it'd be an absolute nightmare. But I am going to pull some random games out of them because why the hell not? And here we do. Here we go. I found an awesome game. It looks like it's going to be awesome anyway. Down the bottom left side, we do have Strelok from the FX Open clan. He is an extremely good Terran player. We've seen a fair bit of him. Well, I've seen a fair bit of him. I cast a game of his. I think he was going against a Protoss player. I can't remember exactly what game I cast, but he was in there and he was doing some stuff. I think it was a tournament, or so. It was part of a tournament, and he didn't do that well, but I'm expecting very good things from him. And facing up against him, it is going to be VortiX from the Mouse Sports team. Now, Mouse Sports, if you've been watching videos I've just uploaded, you will know that Mouse Sports was in the EMS Spring 2013 Cup, that clan-based tournament, and they did very well in that tournament. And VortiX was one of the players who went out there and did some stuff. I think he was one of the players. Let me check real quick. I'll just bring up the page. I'm sorry, my memory is so awful, but he is on here somewhere. No, sorry, my bad. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. It was VI Pro, and he was on the Current team. But VortiX, we did not see him in that tournament. However, if I have a look over here, where's the quarterfinal? No, he's definitely in the team though, and if he's in the Mouse Sports team, then that means he is awesome, because of course Mouse Sports is awesome. They did extremely well in that tournament. But we're going to see exactly what VortiX can do, whether he can hold up the family name, so to speak, or whether FXO Strelok can go in there and just do all sorts of damage. And it could be either way at the moment. But what have we got going on here? We do have a spawning pool coming down off a hatchery, so that's pretty standard. You try and make sure these guys come up at the same time, and then maybe you build 2 queens at a time. The timing is a little bit off here, but it's not something to chop somebody's legs off for. We've got one Reaper coming out from the Terran player. He's gone pretty standard. I think this is actually a build now. It's like one Reaper into expansion maybe, because the Reaper does a very good job at keeping these guys knocked back. Now the Reaper comes in quite early. You can actually see that he hasn't even had time to to get the lings out. And VortiX doing a great job at keeping those SCVs alive simply by building stuff with them when they get low on health. And these lings are going to come out now, and the Reaper is staying on creep the entire time, so there's not much chance of you surviving. If you ran out here and then down, you might survive a little bit better. There he goes. He's safely away now, and you can just regenerate some health and then come back. But meanwhile, there's a couple of lings being sent out there. These Marines should have no problem pushing them off though, and this Reaper is regenerating the health nice and well. The health regeneration for Reapers, I can't remember if it's in Ralph Wings of Liberty, but it is in Heart of the Swarm, and it is very awesome because these Reapers, man, they're so much more deadly now that they can have their health regenerating so quickly, and really means you have to get something to push them off. We saw actually there was in the EMS Spring 2013 Cup, there was a stupidly awesome game. I think it was between Cass and Hero Marine, where one of the players got a whole bunch of 4 Reapers at the very start of the game off 2 barracks, and just absolutely, his micro was unparalleled. I've never seen micro as good as the Reaper micro in that game like ever before. Or alright, maybe that's a bit pushing it a bit too much, but for early game micro, where the micro isn't just lost in the massive chaos, where a million things are happening at once and you can't actually tell that there's good micro. This thing, 4 Reapers, going at the start of the game, you could tell there was good micro. You could really see it, and it was really awesome to behold. But now we've got a bunch of Hellions coming in. The Reaper might come in with them, just do a bit of harass. This is walled off quite nicely, and with the 4 Marines in there, they should be more than enough to keep those lings out These guys going to come in. There's no gate though, so they could conceivably just run straight past the queen up here, but there's another queen waiting. He's not leaving that base undefended, so he could potentially sacrifice all these Hellions and get maybe, I don't know, 5, 6 workers. He wouldn't get too much more than that. He hasn't got blue flame, so yeah, not too much more than 5 or 6 workers with those Hellions, and yeah, it's probably not worth it, because Hellions, 100 minerals each, workers 50 minerals each, so no, definitely not going to be worth it. If he had blue flame, that's another story. Maybe then he'd risk going in, he might be able to get more workers, but yeah, not without blue flame. It's definitely not worth it. And besides, they're mechanical, so if they do somehow manage to get back to the base after they've gone out here, they can always be repaired and they'll be just as good as new. Here we go. He thought about getting in there, but he maybe saw the queen. There he goes. He's going to make a move, but he sees the roaches and he gets out of there straight away. He knows he will get almost no workers now that there are roaches out on the base. So there's no point going in. These will just be purely scouting type guys. He's getting some Hellbats out. Does he have a medevac out already from this starport? I do not know. He's getting some Hellbats. I can't see a medevac yet. The medevac drops have been extremely, extremely awesome so far in pretty much the past couple of months, I think, since people have started discovering the Hellbats and started discovering that A, they can be put in medevacs, B, they're treated as infantry units, which means the medevacs can heal them, and C, they do a crapload more damage than the Hellions do, and D, they last a lot longer than the Hellions do. So their Hellbats, man, are just a completely insane unit. The only disadvantage they have over the Hellbats is that they need an armory to build them, but really that's not a major disadvantage, because I mean people have been building them for years and years now to get the Thor drops going, so I mean, why not a Hellbat drop? And here we go, there's the medevac. He's got the Hellbat. He's going to scout out this base. He doesn't see anything there. He's going to jump straight up to the expansion and drop it down right in the middle of these drones, and this is when he's going to start to do the damage. You can see the Hellions coming out there. They're trying to do a distraction, and it didn't. They distracted the roaches well enough. But the drones, on creep, they get away very, very fast. The medevac's going to have to run here. The Zerg doesn't have a massive amount of anti-air, but trying to get around to this main base and survive, not really going to work all that well. Meanwhile, the Vikings kind of come around. He's attacking, moving all over the place, just trying to take out Overlords. Of course, the Zerg player's not going to be worrying because he has Overlords way more than he needs, so he's not going to get supply capped anytime soon. We do have a barracks doing a nice bit of scouting out there. I'm not sure why. He's left this gate open, he's destroyed the bunker, salvaged it, and he's just moving the barracks out there. He obviously feels he doesn't need his gate anymore, and he's probably right, because Zerg is going roaches, and a gate is useless versus roaches. But I would have thought he would have moved this somewhere else, plonked it down, but it does look like he does not need the barracks anymore, because he's going for full-on mech play at the moment. He's getting his armory going. He's getting a second armory up so he can do double upgrades. One weapon is just about to finish. And there it goes, it's finished. So he's going to be doing some very awesome stuff with mech play here. And mech play versus roaches, not a bad option. You need to have a decent amount of tanks. Hellbats, I think Hellbats do a fair amount of damage to roaches. They might be on par. The Hellbats are really awesome, but they're not built to counter roaches. So, yeah. I'm going to say the Hellbats are a little bit better, but only because they're so awesome, not because there's actually any sort of counter to the roaches. And the roaches, I mean, they cost about the same. 75 minerals, 25 gas. These guys are about 100 minerals off the top of my head. That's about right. But there are a crap load of roaches coming out. Like, I mean a crap load. And I'm not sure, the Terran player, he's got 4 tanks over there, 5 tanks total, and he's got a nice Hellbat line, so he may be able to hold this off. The roaches, they see the hits coming from the siege tanks. They're not even going to bother pushing in there, because the losses those roach force would take is just too much. He would lose almost his entire army, and he might be able to take out this army, but then again he might not. The tanks pulled back quite a lot, so he'd be getting hit by siege tanks all the way back here. So definitely not what he wants to do. Terran player, man, Strelok, really doing well on the workers. He is not falling behind. He's got the command centers out. He's building 3 SCVs at a time. So very soon, in a matter of a minute or so, he'll probably be up to his preferred max workers. I think the Zerg's already there. He's not building workers anymore. He's up to 70. So the Terran player It's going to get to about 70, and then he's going to be happy as well. So 70 seems to be a very interesting number, I guess, for a lot of players. To once they get to 70, they're like, all right, there's no point building any more workers. If you think about it, each base takes 30 workers. So with 70, you've got 2 and a bit bases mining. So as long as you've got 3 bases mining, you're pretty good. And of course, one base will always be getting low on minerals, so it'll always be dropping off. So it doesn't mean, if you had like 90 workers or something, as soon as one base dropped off a little bit, you'd have to get a 4th base, and that's a bit nuts. So you only have to get a 4th base when this really starts to run low, and when it's got like 1 mineral patch left, and by then you definitely should be thinking about it. But the Zerg player, they're actually continuing to produce harvesters, so I guess the line is a little bit higher. But let's have a look at the army composition at the moment. We've got a massive amount of tanks here. He is so ready to deal with those roaches, man. The roaches will not know what hit them. He's got 1 Viking, 1 Raven, bunch of Hellbats. So as far as the ground army is concerned, he's going to be fine. Meanwhile, VortiX going for a crap load of roaches. He's going for a bunch of Hydras as well. He's getting out the Vipers, which would be excellent to deal with the tanks because he can yank them off. But I do not think there's going to be enough, because if Strelok keeps lining up his tanks like this, in a line that stretches out, if he yanked them up in a big group, the Vipers would have a lot better chance. But I guess the one thing that we have to remember is that Strelok does not have any anti-air at the moment. So he will do very well versus these ground forces, but he needs to have something to deal with the bloody Vipers, because they are going to be a pain in the ass after a while. He's starting to get some more Vikings, which is an excellent idea. Vikings have very long range, so the Vipers will not be able to go in and really start yanking tanks left, right and centre without opening themselves to fire. So excellent choice there. And he really needs to start thinking about... I assume he's going to swarm them up, but yeah, can you see? He can't really see too far in the future. I mean, the tanks can hit up to about there. There we go. He scans up there. He's going to see the forces just out of range. A few tanks are going to die here. No, here we go. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. I keep forgetting about the Viper's spray ability. And look at this beautiful flank, man. This is just absolutely awesome. The Hellbats doing a great job against the Hydras. They're not doing a great job, but they're doing a job. And they are killing quite a lot of them. And these tanks at the back of the base here, at the back, are really saving the forces. So these tanks all getting wiped out. Hellbats all getting wiped out. The Hydras and the Roaches all going down. So excellent use of that blinding cloud by the Vipers on those tanks. I keep thinking they're going to yank them, and I'm thinking, man, it's probably not. But definitely, the thing he's going for right now is the blinding cloud, or whatever the hell it's called, and that shuts the tanks down. So that, once again, shows how important it is to get the tanks back there. If you're a bronze, silver, maybe a gold level player, and you're thinking, well, I should put all my tanks in a group, because then they're all in range to hit something, and the ones back here won't be able to hit anything. That is why you spread them out like that, because when they get close enough to actually hit the tanks, the other tanks are able to take them out. So they can't get in close without being in a lot of trouble. We've got some forces over here, tanks lining up back there, and that is going to be very, very awesome. It's going to keep these guys away for now. And the Zerg player, I think that push was maybe just to solidify this hatchery. Maybe he just sort of did a preemptive push, I guess. He was worried the Terran player may go over there and hit this hatchery, which would be very easy for the Terran player to do. So he pushed out there, he put the Terran on the back foot over there. So a very, very good preemptive strike there to make sure that the Terran player wasn't thinking about going in there. I'm not sure if the Terran player knows this base exists. He does know it exists. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him go there, but of course, the Terran player being Terran, it takes him 10 times longer for him to get his army from one side of the map to the other than it does for the Zerg. The Zerg has excellent creep spread. He hasn't got creep spread from this base to the other one, but he's getting that very soon. He needs to get the creep going across there as well. He needs to build this highway, and after he does that, he will be fine. He's got a strike force coming over here. They're going to try and sneak in here, do some damage, pull these Terran forces away. Meanwhile, these Terran forces, they were thinking about moving out, but now they see this. And this may be the Zerg's opportunity to run in here and just annihilate this base. He's got a planetary, but it's not going to hold up that much. He's left 3 tanks behind here. The Roaches run right next to them. And these tanks are going to be in quite a bit of trouble. Roach is now going to come in, going to do some massive damage to the SCVs. Should take about, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them maybe. And meanwhile, the Terran player going in there, just wiping out the tanks. The Zerg player, man, he had an opportunity right there to take this base out. It wasn't a massive clear-cut. Actually, I'm going to say it was a massive clear-cut opportunity. I mean, as soon as those Roaches killed the 3 tanks, he should have been on the verge of running in there. Sure, he's got these towers, and that would have made it harder for him to run in there, but I'm going to say that was a bit of a wasted opportunity. He could have done a almost free attack, and probably done a very good job at taking this out. The Terran player knows this base is it's very vulnerable. He's actually building a second planetary there, and I would not be surprised. He's actually got a planetary here, so he's getting lots of defenses all over the place. He needs to think about getting a 5th base though, which is what he's doing. The Zerg player has had 5 bases. The Terran player, man, he needs to do something. He needs to start getting drop ships, dropping down Hellbats on the bases. He needs to start sending out his force, just risking the attack. The top left is quite open. I think the Terran player could take it out if he really, really wanted to. He might lose some units, but I don't think he'd lose as much as he's scared of losing right now. So he is being quite defensive-minded at the moment. And yeah, this base on the side, bit harder to take out, but this base, man, he could go in there, he could just slaughter this base. Almost at any time, I think. But he really needs to do something about that. Because if he lets this base go, this base is hard to take out, but this base, if he lets this base go and just go nuts, then he is digging his own grave at this point. And I mean, building up a huge army is one thing, but you you gotta harass the bases. You gotta take them out. You gotta assure they stop mining. You might be just trying to go for an all-in here. See if he does that. The Zerg player is not going to be fooled though. He does not want to attack on the Terran player's terms. He knows how many tanks are out there, and he knows that it's very scary. He's going to try for a flank here, come through there. These forces are split up. That is going to be fairly good. These forces just running back here, leading the Terran on. And here we go, this force is coming up. There's still left a ton of tanks sieged up though, so the Terran's not stupid. He's lost quite a few forces in here. These tanks are going to start taking these forces out. They managed to take these forces out just before these forces arrived. So it's a bit of a mistake there by the Zerg player. If he timed this push with that push precisely to meet in the middle here at the same time, he might have had the forces he needed to wipe out this Terran force. But by the time this force came in, the forces that flanked from the bottom left, from the bottom right side were already dead, and that cost the Zerg player a lot of units. You can see he's about 40 units down. He does have quite a bit of macro, but he's spending it on ultras at the moment, and he cannot build up as fast as he would like to. Meanwhile, the Terran player, his macro is going quite well. He's on a bit less bases, but he's starting to move into this one. VortiX was going to take that. That is not going to happen. This base is not going to be allowed to stay there for very long. No doubt Strelok is going to take it out ASAP. And yeah, I mean, he's at an advantage at the moment, so as soon as these forces come out, I think he's going to move around, start taking out bases. I'd really like to see him have some small attack groups to move out and do some stuff. Send over 3 or 4 tanks and a bunch of Hellbats over to this base, just wipe it out. Now, VortiX sees this attack, and he knows that he's got an opportunity, but this guy lifts off, and he's just saying a big old FU to the Zerg player by running out of there. And the Zerg player knows that it is not his time to move in there and attack this. But of course the Zerg's so fast, and you've still got this creep highway going up there. Terran player hasn't really knocked it down. So the Zerg's got quite a few opportunities to go in here. Zerg may be going for this base, but that's not going to happen. He's got a supply depot wall, and he's got a planetary there. Meanwhile, the Terran player, quite ballsy, moving in. He's going to take out this base. Should be fine. Did he, is this still building? Did he take this out before? I think he must have when he moved up there. Zerg player's rebuilding it. And here we go. This army is over here, but ultras versus tanks. I would not bet on the ultras. They're doing a good job here, but Strelok's trying to feed them back into these forces. Not going to happen though. This base still lifting up. He can't really land because of that ling, but that's fine. And yeah, Strelok definitely needs this base coming up. Although he hasn't really mined out too much. They've both lost a crap load of workers, but they're not really low on workers. I mean, where are all these workers? I think they're over there, and not many there. Not many there. I have no idea where all of Strelok's workers actually are. Don't tell me he's got like 1 billion on one like mineral fuel or something. I don't know. Bunch of links coming over here destroying shit, so that's cool. He doesn't have any workers in here. Where are all these workers? I really have no idea. 21. I don't know. Anyway. But there's a bunch of forces coming here. You see he's built up a very decent Raven army as well. So a lot of bombs going to go down on these ultras. They're going to do a lot of damage. The forces coming around, but they're going a long way. However, they will get some sort of flank over here. Not many tanks, but they might be able to do something. Terran player, why are these forces moving away? I do not know. They're running. Maybe they're trying to solidify into one position, but not that good of an idea. And I think most of his workers are actually over there. But I think he got him away, fairly safe. He should be. I don't know. I don't know why there's so many workers over there, or where all of these mules. Maybe mules don't count as workers, definitely. So that can't be it. I don't know. It's the workers are all. I have got no idea where all these workers are. They're here, they're everywhere. Here's a bunch of workers. Here's a bunch more workers. Somehow they must make up the numbers and I just can't find them. I'm guessing he's got like 20 of those damn workers on gas. That's probably where half of them are. Bunch of planetaries coming down. And yeah, these guys, Ultras, finally getting chased away. They're going to get a little bit of flank over there. This one might kill this last one. Not quite though. And look at that, 34 damage even with unsieged, man. So that's still a fairly decent amount of damage. But yeah. The Zerg player, man, he's definitely got the ultra numbers up there. The Zerg player, he had an advantage before. I think he's been a little bit too complacent though. And the Zerg players managed to get up these ultra numbers. The Zerg player has a very, very nice amount of bases. He lost this one on the right side, but he's still been going strong on the other ones. And this one at the top left, man, is really, really keeping him in the game at the moment. It's the only one he's fully mining off at the moment. And the Terran player, man, if he goes in there and he shuts it down, and there he goes. I guess that engagement was the Zerg player's last hurrah, man. He went over there, and these guys are still going in. I think the players are left, but there's some observers still going. And when I say observers, I do not mean the Protoss kind, I mean the human kind. So there we go, that's going to be the end of the game. And yeah, I mean, that came down to Ultras are countered by tanks. And the Zerg player had Ultras, and the Terran player had tanks. So the tanks countered the Ultras, and the Ultras all died. Which is quite sad when you think about it, because, you know, Ultras are living creatures like everything else, and blah, 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 blah. But we did have some battle cruisers coming in, which would have been fairly sweet. I assume he had a lot of the upgrades done. If we had a look at the Ravens... No, where's a Viking? I want to see a Viking. I want to see air attack. How... There's 7 Vikings, and apparently, they're all on the ground. That's why you didn't have 3 air weapons, but I assume he was going to get that soon enough. I mean, why not? But yeah, massive army doing some massively good stuff. The Hellbats were in there. They were doing damage when they needed to do damage, and they were providing a very nice cover for the tanks when they didn't need to do damage. We've said quite a few times that Hellbats are very good at just not dying straight away. I mean, they last so much longer than a normal Hellion would. So yeah, why not use them as a buffer zone for the tanks? I mean, in previous Triple M type armies, you had the tanks, you had the Thors. Some people would just go tank Thors because Hellions just get ripped apart so fast. Maybe if you're going against Zerg, you would use Hellions to counter the Lings, or to counter the Zealots, or whatever. But Hellions, man, they died fairly fast, especially to like Hydras and Stalkers and all that other fun stuff. But the Hellbats, they last quite a bit longer, and they are excellent at stopping people attacking the tanks, at focusing their fire on them. So they're like the Zealots of the Terran army, and actually I think they cost the same amount as Zealots. So why not? Of course, when it comes to a massive army, though, like Zealots, they don't really do the damage that they need to. But they do decent enough damage, and yeah, I mean, Hellbats are the Zealots of the Terran army, and that is going to be my final word on that. And you can drop them and heal them and stuff like that, so that's awesome as well. But there we go. Excellent, excellent mech play. by our Terran player, Strelok. Really going in there, really showing that tanks counter ultras. And VortiX, hopefully, yeah. I have seen a couple of players here and there who think that ultras equal win for some reason. I saw a game, I think it was a 1v1, I actually casted about a week ago, where somebody went ultras against Marine Marauder when there was a crap load of Marauders, and I'm just like, you know what? When somebody has Marauders, you don't go ultras. I mean, ultras are good, they're excellent, but when your opponent has them countered, you do not keep going for them, because ultras do not necessarily equal win. I mean, they seem to be like the Brood War equivalent of carriers to some people. You get a crap load of them and you automatically win, but yeah, they have a counter like every other unit in the game, and when your opponent has the counter, you better stop building them, because it's just not working at that point. But yeah, here we go. There we go. This is going to be Hairy Muppet, and actually, let's think about it for a sec. Let's put on our thinking caps. All right, guys. If I miss something, let me know. But I'm gonna think Hellbats, tanks. We're going to disclude the Ravens because there weren't that many. But Hellbats, tanks, and Vikings. Zerg counter. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, I am going to say. See, Lings I like against tanks, but they're absolutely an abysmal choice against the Hellbats. So we scrap Lings. Roaches. I like Roaches. They take a fair bit of punishment, and Hellbats don't do any damage to them. Well, they do some damage, but the Roaches aren't light, so you want to get the Roaches in there. Now, see, Roach Hydra is good, but those tanks, man. I think when it comes down to it with this combination, you need to stress out the Vipers. You really need to stress out the Vipers. Get them in there, get them doing some damage. So I mean, we could go for crazy builds like mutas and stuff like that. I mean, all right, fair point. Mutas would counter this very effectively. Mutas would absolutely own this army. But we want something a bit more diverse, and something that's not going to fall over as soon as the Terran player starts getting a couple of Thors. So mutas would be good if you can get them straight away and just wipe this army out, but they're not going to be good long term. And of course, a bunch of Raven bombs wouldn't really help the muta clump at all. Oh, I forgot we're not including Ravens, but yeah, mutas. But I'm going to say long term, Vipers to lock down the tanks. You get them in from a flank position from the side, and you just put the cloud down on the tanks. Maybe yank them out of position if there's some stray ones, but yeah, put the cloud down the tanks. And then Roach Hydra. Now, the Hydras, they shouldn't be taking too much damage because the tanks are all taken care of. The Roaches will be taking most of the Hellbat damage. Hellbats would own Hellions. I'm going to say they not own Hellions, they're Hydras. They're Hellbats. It was just Hellbat versus Hydra. I think the Hellbats would probably win, hands down, so that's why you need the Roaches. Just Roach Hydra. Roach Hydra would wipe out all the Hellbats. You probably still have a few Roaches left over. Roaches would die quite badly versus the Hellbats, but that's the whole point. They're supposed to die to save the Hydras. The Hydras would finish off, and all the Hellbats would be gone, and then you'd send your remaining small amount of Roaches and large amount of Hydras in, and you'd have to wipe out the tank army. And a flank with Lings would not be a bad option either. That is going to be my game plan. I'd love to see somebody test this thing out, because tanks, Hellbats, and Vikings, very, very scary force. I mean, it's quite awesome. And you would lose quite a lot of Vipers to the Vikings, but you'd have to get in there, do the hits that you needed to with the cloud, blinding cloud. I can't remember what it's exactly called, but whatever. And yeah, Roach Hydra right in the front to take out the Hellbats while the tanks are otherwise clouded up, and a nice bit of Ling flank right on the tanks up the back. If you've got some free tanks that you didn't cloud up, or just to attack the tanks that are under the cloud, I mean, Lings, just send a crap load of Lings in there, get the flank if you can, and yeah, do all sorts of good stuff. If he's got Hellbats at the back, that's not going to work too well. But if you've got Roach Hydra coming in the front, there's a fair chance that all of your Hellbats are going to be running out the front to deal with the Roach Hydra, and that leaves his flank open for a beautiful Ling attack. And that is going to be my strategy for this build, because yeah, Ultras did not work that well for this game. But going on, we are going to finish this game actually, because it's all over and everybody's left half an hour ago. So thank you very much for watching this game. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the commentary at the end of it. I like to think if this guy got owned by this awesome army composition, there's got to be something that can beat it. The day I will make this guarantee, the day that somebody finds an army composition which is impossible to counter, I am going to uninstall Starcraft and I'm never going to play it again. I make that vow right now, and any composition you find that I can't find a counter to, that's it. Starcraft 2 uninstalled. I'm going to stop playing it. I'm going to stop casting it. And I know that's a pretty ballsy claim to make, but I am going to go for it. Yeah, that's it. I just thought, well, if you have like 200 Ravens or something, how do you counter that? Oh shit. 200 Ravens. Fuck, I don't know. Okay, alright, maybe I was a little bit hasty, okay? So maybe I'm not going to uninstall Starcraft if I can't find counter to any build. Yeah, so maybe not. Maybe we'll have to retract that statement just a little bit, because, yeah, maxed out Ravens, I am struggling a little bit to think of a nice counter. I'd like to think max Viking. Sorry, we're talking Zerg. Alright. Mutas, Raven Bomb. Corruptors. I'm going to say Corruptors. If he's got mass Ravens, you got mass Corruptors. I'm going to say mass Corruptors are going to be the way to go. They're armoured, so they're going to survive quite a bit of these Raven Bombs. They don't spread out. They don't clump up too much. They sort of spread out naturally, I think. So the Raven Bomb shouldn't do too much damage. I don't know, it depends on point defense drone. Does that shoot the Corruptor projectiles out of the sky? I'm thinking it probably does. So yeah, maybe the ball's still out on that one. It's not 100% counter. Maybe max Queens. I don't know, whatever. Max Ravens. If anybody's got a perfect Zerg counter to max Ravens, let me know, because I can't think of a perfect one at the moment. It'd have to be something like max Corruptors, and even then, I still wouldn't bet on the Corruptors winning, because unless you had Mad Micro and you managed to get the green snot ability off on every single Raven before you killed it, but that would be pretty insane to be able to do that. So there we go. Let me know, max Ravens. What do you think would counter max Ravens for a Zerg player? And there we go. I've gone on for quite some time, so I'm going to finish it off. Thank you very much for watching. This is Hairy Muppet. I hope you enjoyed this game, and please subscribe if you haven't already done so, because it gives me happy feelings. Alright, catch you guys later.